Chosen one. Have you ever felt a sudden pull in your spirit, like something big was about to happen, but you couldn't explain it? Maybe you've been sensing a shift, not in the news, not in your calendar, but in your soul. Well, let me say this plainly. This is not just another message. This is not just another video. This is a divine appointment, and it's about your daughter. No, this is not a coincidence. This isn't random inspiration. What you're about to hear has been timed by heaven itself, and it's not just about who she is, it's about who you are and the sacred connection between you. Because something spiritual, something profound, is about to unfold, and it starts tomorrow. Now I know how that sounds. Bold, maybe even strange. But deep down, haven't you felt it too? That quiet sense in your heart that tomorrow means something. That your daughter's journey, her struggles, her questions, her moments of silence have all been building to something sacred. Let me tell you, this isn't wishful thinking. This is divine alignment. You see, your daughter wasn't born at a random time, to a random person, for random reasons. She was sent through you on assignment. There is a spiritual timeline unfolding, and your obedience, your prayers, your sacrifices have all played a role in setting that timeline in motion. This message, this moment, is a holy invitation, a call to recognize what heaven already sees. And here's what's important. This isn't just about your daughter stepping into her purpose. It's about you too, because when she shifts, so does everything connected to her, including you. I want you to listen closely today, not just with your ears, but with your heart, because what's coming isn't theory, it's transformation, it's timing, and it's truth. So ask yourself, what if tomorrow isn't just another square on the calendar? What if it's the day the heavens marked for something sacred to begin? What if your daughter is about to become the very thing you've been praying for, and you are the one chosen to witness it? Stay with me, because what we're stepping into is not small, it's generational, and it's happening now. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever looked at your daughter, maybe while she's sleeping, or sitting quietly with that far-off look in her eyes and thought, there's something different about her, something deeper, something sacred? You might not have had the words for it at the time. Maybe others dismissed her, called her too emotional, too intense, too sensitive. But in your spirit, you knew. She wasn't made to blend in. She wasn't wired for the ordinary. There's a reason her soul has always felt weightier. That reason is this: your daughter was not born by chance. She didn't arrive in your life because of circumstance or timing. She is part of something eternal, a divine design, a sacred plan that was set in motion long before you ever held her in your arms. You see, some children are born into the world, but others, like your daughter, are sent. She carries something rare, something fierce, something so pure it unsettles people who have forgotten what purity feels like. That's why some haven't known how to handle her. That's why she's felt misunderstood. But let me be clear, the way she senses the world, the way her heart breaks for things others ignore, the way she picks up on spiritual tension in a room before anyone else speaks a word, that's not weakness. That's wiring. She's tuned to a heavenly frequency. It's like her soul catches signals the rest of the world hasn't even realized are being broadcast. She's always felt more, seen more, known more, deep down, beyond words. And now there's a spiritual turning point approaching. In one that isn't just about her growth or maturity, it's about her activation. It's about divine timing colliding with divine identity. But here's the part that most people miss, and it's where your role becomes sacred. You're not just watching this unfold, you're part of it. You, chosen one, are not just her parent. You are the bridge between generations. The prayers you whispered when she was a baby, the tears you cried when you didn't know how to help, the nights you stayed awake worried about her heart, they weren't wasted, they were planted. And now, they're blooming, right inside her destiny. Think of it like this. You've been carrying spiritual seed for years, maybe decades. And this season, it's harvest time. She is stepping into something that's bigger than her talents, deeper than her personality. She's stepping into a calling, One that's tied to your obedience, one that's tied to your endurance, one that's tied to every moment you stayed faithful, even when you felt unseen. You see, your daughter is marked, not by the world, but by heaven, and what's even more powerful is that you helped write the prelude to her breakthrough. This isn't just her story unfolding, it's your legacy manifesting. So if you've ever wondered why the warfare was so intense, why the emotions ran so high, why she seemed to carry weight beyond her years, it's because her spirit has been preparing for this moment all along. And your spirit? It's been standing guard, protecting the promise before the world ever saw its value. This is not a coincidence. It is divine alignment, and it's happening now. So don't pull away. Don't doubt what you've sensed all these years. Lean in. Because what's awakening in your daughter is going to change more than just her life. It's going to shift the entire spiritual legacy of your family. Have you ever waited so long for something that you almost gave up hoping for it? You prayed, you cried, you questioned, and then nothing. Just silence. But what if that silence wasn't absence, but preparation? What if the delay wasn't denial, but divine timing? Because here's what I came to tell you today. The shift begins tomorrow, and everything you thought was forgotten, every tear you thought dried in vain, every whispered prayer you barely believed in has been heard. There's a door opening for your daughter, a door that's not available to just anyone. This is not just a new opportunity, it's a divine appointment. And that door? She's walking through it tomorrow. But here's what's even more powerful. She's only able to step through that door now because both of you have reached a spiritual threshold. You've matured in your faith, even in the quiet, even when no one clapped for you, even when the world thought you were done. Your obedience? It's been building something, brick by brick, prayer by prayer. And your daughter? Her soul has been slowly waking up. Her spirit has been ripening, like a seed germinating in darkness, preparing for this exact moment. A shift this big couldn't come early. It had to wait until the foundation was strong enough to hold the weight of the promise. This is not random. It's years in the making. And now get ready, because her healing is about to accelerate. You'll begin to notice it. She'll speak differently. Her eyes will carry more peace. Her words will hold unexpected wisdom. She may begin to ask questions she's never dared to ask before, or speak with a boldness you've never seen in her. That's not rebellion, that's revelation. That's what happens when divine memory starts waking up inside someone. It might even catch you off guard at first. You'll wonder where this version of her came from, but deep down, you'll know. You've been praying for this very version all along. She's remembering who she really is, and in that remembrance, something sacred is being restored. Let's be honest. There have been times when you wondered if she would ever find herself again. You've seen her wander, hurt, struggle, and your heart broke more times than you can count. But this is what you must understand. You didn't just survive those seasons for your sake, you endured them for hers. Your obedience didn't just protect your legacy, it activated hers. Because spiritual inheritance doesn't pass through bloodlines alone, it passes through alignment. And you, chosen one, have been aligned, even when it felt like you were drifting. This moment is sacred. She's stepping into boldness. Not because she learned it, but because it's always been there. She's stepping into clarity, not because someone gave her the answers, but because her soul is remembering truth. She's stepping into authority, not because she demanded it, but because heaven declared it over her before she was ever born. And you're not just watching this happen, you're part of it. Your faith created space for her breakthrough. Your endurance paved the path she's now walking on. So as this shift begins tomorrow, don't treat it like any other day. Be aware, be present, speak life over her, even if she can't hear you. Bless her, even if she doesn't yet understand. Because the spiritual realm is already celebrating. The atmosphere is already shifting. The assignment is already unfolding. And this is just the beginning. Let me ask you something that might shake you a little. What if the spiritual attacks you've been battling lately weren't even about you? What if the confusion, the exhaustion, the invisible weight on your shoulders wasn't just personal pressure, But generational warfare? Sounds intense, right? But hear me. Sometimes the battles we face are not about where we are, but about who's coming after us. And in your case, it's about her, your daughter. Because when someone carries divine purpose like she does, the enemy doesn't wait for her to rise. He tries to block the bloodline before she even understands what she's carrying. But here's the good news. You didn't fold. You stood. You wept. You believed, even when you didn't understand why the fight felt so unfair. And now, heaven is responding. Your endurance is being rewarded, not in vague blessings, but in visible transformation. Because your daughter is not just a child. She is the product of spiritual legacy. She's the continuation of every seed you planted in faith, every storm you survived, every battle you won in silence. You may have thought your role was just biological, but no, chosen one. You are her spiritual protector, the one who held the line when no one else could, the one who prayed when no one else knew, the one who carried a shield over her spirit, even when she didn't see it. That's why what's happening in her now feels so divine, so deep, because it's not just personal transformation, it's lineage healing. She's not just changing, she's remembering. She's remembering who she was before the world tried to tell her who to be. She's waking up to her divine identity, the one she was born with, not the one she picked up through pain, pressure, or performance. And when someone remembers their true identity, everything around them shifts. You may see it in her words, her choices, her posture. You may hear her speak with new conviction, or see a fire in her eyes that wasn't there before. These are not personality changes. These are spiritual confirmations. Because once purpose is activated, once divine memory returns, the old limitations no longer fit. And here's where it gets even more powerful. This isn't just about her. This is about generations. When she rises, she doesn't rise alone. She carries the weight and the healing of everyone who came before her. This is what legacy looks like in real time. Not just passing down wealth or wisdom, but breaking cycles, restoring truth, awakening purpose. You may not have had a guide like this when you were her age. You may have had to figure it all out the hard way. But guess what? That ends with you. Because you chose to stand, and now she gets to soar. You've done more than protect her. You've cleared spiritual ground for her to walk on, free, bold, whole, and that's what makes your role sacred. That's what makes this moment holy. So if it feels like something is shifting in the atmosphere, that's because it is. Your daughter is awakening, and your faith made it possible. Let me ask you a question that might stop you in your tracks. What if the very things she's been ashamed of, her wounds, her rejections, her hardest seasons, were never signs of failure, but sacred clues pointing to who she really is? Because I need you to understand something clearly today. Your daughter was never ordinary, not even for a moment. The pain she carried, it wasn't random. The moments she felt invisible, not accidents. The times she was labeled as too emotional, too intense, too different. Those weren't flaws. They were flags, signals from heaven that she was carrying something too valuable to be shaped by the world's standards. You see, her story may include broken chapters, but those chapters are holy ground. Every scar, sacred. Every wound, proof of resilience. Every tear, a seed of compassion. The world may have tried to bury her in pain, but heaven has been planting her in purpose. And now, those scars she once tried to hide are about to become her credentials. She's not just healing from them, she's going to teach through them. She's not just rising for herself, she's rising for others. Every lesson forged in her private battle is being converted into public ministry. Because she is not just meant to recover, she is meant to lead. And she won't lead through power or performance. She'll lead through presence. She will be a voice for the ones who've been silenced, a lighthouse for those lost in emotional fog, a compass for those who feel like they've lost all direction. This isn't something she has to manufacture. It's already inside her. Her journey, the pain, the waiting, the healing, is activating spiritual gifts she didn't even know she had. Some of these gifts are emotional, deep empathy, a rare kind of gentleness that makes people feel safe. Others are intellectual, wisdom beyond her age, insight that feels divinely timed, and some are prophetic, the ability to see what others don't, feel what others dismiss, speak what others are afraid to say. These aren't talents, they are assignments. And now that she's aligning with who she was always meant to be, the atmosphere around her is shifting. People will notice. Some will feel drawn to her light. Others may feel uncomfortable, because truth always makes noise in rooms built on silence. But this isn't about pleasing people. This is about fulfilling a calling. This is what spiritual alignment looks like. When who you are on the inside finally lines up with what heaven has declared over your life since before your birth. And the beautiful part? You don't have to force this. You don't have to explain it. Just like a sunrise doesn't need permission to break the dark, her breakthrough will speak for itself. So if you begin to see her standing taller, if she starts speaking with a clarity that surprises even you, if her presence begins to carry peace, power, and something you can't quite describe, pay attention. She is becoming, not someone new, but who she's always been, beneath the noise, beneath the pain, beneath the pressure to be anything other than chosen. This is not just a new season. This is a reclamation. And the ripple effect of this alignment, it won't stop with her, because when one woman rises in her divine identity, everyone connected to her begins to feel the shift. You'll feel it. Her friends will feel it. Future generations will benefit from it. So yes, this moment is big, but not just because of where she's going. It's big because of what she survived to get there. This is identity. This is alignment. This is breakthrough, and it's already happening. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really pause before answering. Have you ever witnessed someone come alive, not just smile more or act different, but awaken from the inside out? I'm talking about a moment when someone's voice changes, their eyes settle with clarity, and they begin to walk with a kind of boldness you can't explain. That moment is rare, but it's happening to your daughter, and it's not by accident, because everything in her life, every moment of confusion, every setback, every pause, has been preparing her for this exact season. And now something sacred is beginning to align. You'll feel it. You'll see it. There's a new steadiness in her, a boldness that doesn't feel forced, a peace that doesn't come from circumstance, and a wisdom that feels older than her age. That's not coincidence. That's divine memory awakening. She's remembering things her soul knew before the world tried to convince her otherwise, before labels, before trauma, before pressure taught her to shrink or perform. Her words may suddenly carry power. Not because she's rehearsed, but because she's finally aligned with truth. There will be moments she says things that stop you mid-thought, not because she's trying to impress, but because she's speaking from a place of knowing. This is what happens when heaven's timing meets inner awakening. And here's the key. It couldn't have come sooner. It had to happen now. Because the version of her that's emerging wouldn't have survived in an earlier season. She had to walk through the valley to appreciate the light. She had to wrestle with herself before she could reclaim her voice. And what's happening right now, what's rising within her, is not just change, it's freedom. Tomorrow doesn't just mark a new day on the calendar. It marks the breaking of invisible chains, the quiet shattering of cycles that held her back, patterns that started long before her and tried to make a home inside her, but no more, because she's walking away from the lies, the false identities, the roles she was never meant to carry. She's shedding the version of herself that was built out of survival and stepping into the one that was born from truth. Can you feel that? This isn't a makeover, it's a resurrection, a holy becoming. She's not just getting better, she's becoming whole. And this new version of her, this bold, healed, unstoppable version, isn't just more confident, she's more grounded. She's no longer swayed by the noise, no longer shaped by what others expect. She's learning to breathe from her own center. She may dress differently, speak differently. She may set boundaries where she once stayed silent. And while it may feel unfamiliar at first, it's right on time. This is who she was always meant to be. And here's something even deeper to consider. What if her awakening is not just a blessing for her, but a confirmation for you? What if the shift you're seeing is heaven's way of whispering to you? Your prayers worked. Your covering mattered. Your faith held the line long enough for this moment to arrive. Because you didn't just raise her, you helped restore her. And now as she rises, so does the light around her. This is divine timing. This is inner awakening. This is the fruit of sacred alignment. So don't resist the new. Don't try to mold her back into what's familiar. Honor what's unfolding, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because this version of her, she's not coming to impress the world. She's here to change it. Chosen one, I want you to pause and breathe this in. You were always enough. Let that settle. Let it sink past the noise of guilt, the weight of regret, and the endless question, did I do enough? Because for too long, you've carried this silent pressure, wondering if you said the right words, if you prayed hard enough, if you missed something along the way. But I came here to tell you, you didn't miss it. You made room for it. And the proof is her, your daughter, this beautiful, powerful soul who's beginning to awaken, is the living, breathing evidence that your faithfulness mattered. Chosen one, you didn't just raise a child. You protected a future. You covered something that was still forming. And your obedience, your integrity, your late-night prayers that no one ever heard, those weren't lost. They were planted. And now the version of her that you cried for, hoped for, waited for in silence, she's about to emerge. Not because you were perfect, but because you were faithful. And here's the part many overlook. Her transformation isn't just a feel-good story. It's not about success or popularity or image. This is about prophetic fulfillment. What's happening in her life now isn't for vanity, it's for victory. She's stepping into the version of herself that was written in heaven long before the world tried to define her. And you, chosen one, played a sacred role in bringing that prophecy to life. Think about it. How many times did you feel like giving up? How many days did you keep going simply because you couldn't afford not to? For her. Every sacrifice, every boundary you held, every moment you chose love when fear screamed louder, heaven recorded it all. And now that seed of obedience is producing a harvest that the world can't ignore. Because your daughter is becoming more than healed, she's becoming a leader. Her voice will carry weight, not just volume, but healing. Her story won't be just a testimony, it will be a roadmap for others. Her presence will shift rooms, it will open hearts, it will awaken people who didn't even know they were asleep. Chosen one, do you understand what that means? Her transformation isn't isolated, it's generationally catalytic. People will encounter her and feel something different, not because she's loud, but because she's anchored. And that anchoring, that came from you, from your consistency, from your tears, from your unseen victories behind closed doors. You've been walking in a kind of quiet power, one that didn't ask for applause, but carried eternal weight. And now heaven is putting that on display, not to glorify you, but to honor what you carried in secret. So if you've ever doubted your worth, if you've ever questioned whether your love was enough, let this moment be your answer. You were always enough. You were enough to carry her. You were enough to shape her foundation. You were enough to be chosen. Chosen one, don't shrink in this moment. Don't hold back your joy. This is your harvest too. Because the legacy you sowed in silence is rising in her with fire. And as she steps fully into who she was created to be, remember, she doesn't rise apart from you. She rises with you. This is not the end of your role. It's the evolution of it. So walk beside her now, not just as parent, but as spiritual partner. Because chosen one, the story is still being written, and your chapter is far from over. Chosen one, let's talk about a sacred shift, one that few people notice, one that even fewer are prepared for. You see, there comes a time in every parent's journey, especially your journey, when the role begins to change. Not because the love lessens, not because your job is done, but because something divine is unfolding. And chosen one, you are no longer just her guide. You are now her spiritual partner. Yes, this is bigger than parenting. This is holy ground. There was a time when she needed your voice to tell her what was right, to shield her from every storm. But now, she needs your wisdom, not as instructions to follow, but as presence to anchor her. This is the evolution of parenthood, not into absence but into alignment. She may not ask as many questions. She may even withdraw, reflect, or go quiet. But chosen one, don't misread her silence. That silence is not disconnection. It's spiritual expansion. Her spirit is stretching. Her soul is digesting. She is not shrinking away. She is deepening. This is where your spiritual partnership becomes essential. Not in telling her what to do, but in seeing who she's becoming. Not in correcting every move, but in recognizing when her spirit is moving into new territory. Chosen one, this kind of relationship is sacred. It's built on trust, on discernment, on a love that listens more than it speaks. Because here's what's happening behind the scenes. She is awakening. And one of the clearest signs, she's developing a new hunger, a deeper thirst for meaning, a craving for clarity, direction, and truth. She's not chasing shallow answers anymore. She's beginning to ask eternal questions. Who am I really? Why am I here? What am I made for? And these questions aren't signs of confusion. They are signs of calling. Chosen one, don't rush to answer them all. Be present, be patient. Let your presence say what words cannot. Because the same divine presence that carried you through your own valleys and battles, that same spirit is now carrying her. This is not just growth, it's rebirth. She is stepping into the sacred current that once guided you. She is being drawn by the same invisible hand that once pulled you from darkness into light. And now your roles are running parallel. You're no longer just a teacher. You're a witness. You're a co-laborer in what heaven is doing. You are her spiritual partner in this becoming. Let that sink in. You're not being replaced, you're being repositioned. Not because you're less needed, but because her soul is now capable of engaging on a level that only the Spirit understands. Chosen one, this is an invitation to grow with her, to go deeper, to release control and embrace companionship in Christ. She will still need you, more than you know, but not always for answers. Sometimes just for the space to wrestle, for the safety to be raw, for the quiet knowing that says, you're not alone. So if she's pulling back, don't panic. If she's questioning more than usual, don't be alarmed. This is what awakening looks like. This is what purpose sounds like before it's fully formed. And through it all, chosen one, let me remind you, you've been chosen not only to guide her, but to grow with her. This is a partnership birthed in heaven, and it's unfolding now. Walk in it with humility. Walk in it with hope. Walk in it with the knowing that both of you are being carried by the same hand of grace. Because this is parenting beyond the natural. This is sacred alignment. Chosen one, what if I told you the season you've been praying for is no longer coming because it's already here? That's right. You're not standing and waiting anymore. You are standing in the harvest, the battles you fought behind closed doors, the tears you cried where no one could see, the faith you held when doubt screamed the loudest. None of it was wasted. And now, chosen one, you are entering a season that carries a different weight, a sacred weight. Because this isn't just about survival anymore. This is about restoration. This is about joy. This is about the moment where everything you carried begins to multiply. The heaviness is lifting, the pressure is shifting, and your spirit, yes, yours, is being restored in places you thought would remain permanently worn down. Why? Because your daughter is not just healing. She's becoming a force. She's not just getting better. She's rising as a spiritual presence that changes atmospheres. And that's not accidental. It's ancestral. It's built on the unseen, the unheard, the uncelebrated foundation that you laid. Chosen one, you broke things open in your generation. Chains, patterns, spiritual ceilings, so that she wouldn't have to live under what you had to fight through. You were the hammer. She is the architect. You cleared the ground. She's about to build on it. And here's what most people miss. When legacy begins to manifest, it doesn't just elevate the next generation, it restores the previous one. So this shift in her, it's not just about her calling, it's about your healing. There are parts of you that will come alive again as you watch her rise. Dreams you shelved that will suddenly feel possible again. Strength you thought was long gone that will return with surprising joy. Because this isn't just her season, it's yours too. Legacy is never a one-way transfer. It's a spiritual cycle of planting, rising, restoring, and repeating. You sowed with tears. She's reaping in power. But the harvest touches you both. Chosen one, I know it's been long. I know there were moments you felt invisible, like your obedience wasn't enough, like your sacrifices were buried. But heaven saw, and heaven is faithful to return what was sown in secret. So as you see her rise, don't just watch with pride, watch with expectation. Because what you released in prayer is now returning in power. And the legacy, it's alive, it's visible, it's multiplying. She may walk into spaces you never did. She may build platforms you never had. But don't mistake that as distance from you. It's proof of you. She walks with your strength in her stride, with your wisdom in her voice, with your faith woven into her very steps. This isn't just a personal breakthrough, it's a generational one. And here's the truth, chosen one, you didn't just make way for her, she's going to make room for you too. There will be moments when your healing comes through her voice, when your restoration echoes through her success, when the places you thought were done start breathing again through her becoming. That's legacy. Not just a blessing that moves forward, but one that heals in both directions. So don't shrink in this moment. Don't assume this is the ending of your part. This is the unveiling of everything you've carried, and it's only just beginning. Chosen one, this is your harvest, this is your legacy, and this is your reward. Chosen one, have you felt it? That subtle tremble in your spirit? That quiet knowing that something bigger than you is beginning to move? Let me tell you now, this isn't your imagination. This is divine alignment in real time. Tomorrow is not just a date on the calendar. It is a holy appointment, a moment that was carved into eternity before you ever took your first breath. And at the center of it all is your daughter. Her transformation is not just happening. It is being orchestrated by heaven itself. It is sacred. It is unstoppable. It is already written into the pages of your family's destiny. And chosen one, here's what you must understand. This isn't just about her becoming. This is about generations falling into alignment. Your yes to faith, yes to obedience, yes to loving even when it hurt. That yes cracked open a spiritual dimension that is now overflowing into her life. She was never meant to be just your child. She was meant to be your mirror, your message, and your movement. Your tears watered the soil. Your faith stirred the atmosphere. Your sacrifices wrote the first lines of a new generational story. And now, chosen one, heaven is responding. You may have doubted yourself. You may have thought you were too late. But the truth is, you're right on time. You've arrived at the threshold of a moment that could only come after all the waiting, all the wrestling, all the worship in the dark. This is not just a reward for her, it is a reward for you. You will look at her and see your prayers made flesh. You will see your endurance reflected in her rise. And you will finally feel something that's been missing for far too long. Peace, not just any peace, but the kind that comes when the puzzle pieces of your past finally make sense. So don't hold back now. Declare it, receive it, celebrate it. Because what starts tomorrow, chosen one, is not just change, it's a divine activation, a supernatural shift that will echo into generations yet unborn. You didn't miss it. You were chosen for it.